How intentional are you about your path to VC? Did you aim specifically to get into venture for some reason? Were there a series of smaller steps that just happened that led you there?
I kind of learned about VC, I think later in life. I was about 30, I think, when I even learned what VC was. So kind of early in my career, I was a developer and didn't really know what how VC worked and how companies got funded, even though I was working at some tech companies, but they weren't venture-backed businesses. My now partner, Vic Singh, got into VC after he went to business school, and he kind of was very excited about what they're doing. And we had a similar background, both engineers and developers. So when he kind of explained it to me, and I saw what he was doing. He was a associate at RRE after going to Columbia, and kind of saw the work he was doing, and that was really interesting to me. I ended up spending the next 7 or 8 years building 2 venture-backed businesses, and obviously through that process, like raising a lot of money and getting to know kind of how venture worked a lot more from the other side of the table. And then 2010 we started Eniac, kind of first on a small scale. So really kind of building our firm from the ground up over the last 11 years.
For all that's been made about what technology can do to improve life, we're seeing a lot about its negative effects. Do you ever worry about being an investor in a company whose negative effects are unforeseen at the time of your investment?
I do. I've never been a believer that technology will just automatically be positive. I think almost any technology can be. It depends how it's applied. Even before kind of the more recent issues with like Facebook and politics and fake news and all this, I've never kind of had this pure belief that on its own technology would do good. It was more about the people behind it. So yeah, it's something I worry about a lot. We're not impact investors, but we've never invested in a company that we thought was kind of bad for the world, and that we retain that. I do think at the end of the day, it's really hard to foresee the future and how things will play out from a technology and a market's perspective. But what you can do is bet on people that are trying to change the world in a positive way and are not evil.
Take your last 2 investments. What stood out to you as the reason to invest, and what would have been a good reason not to invest?
Yeah, it's a good question. So my last 2 investments, like probably the majority of my investments, were very much founder bets. In one case, it was a individual that had a lot of success in the past, had been the COO of a business that had exited for multi-billion dollars and done that for 7 years. So it's one of these individuals that just has done it all before. As an investor, that's kind of a luxury. There aren't that many of those folks. So you can't only invest in them. But when you do meet someone, just because they've been through it before, and that's no mistake, how to avoid making the same mistakes twice. So that was a relatively easy decision. It was very much a founder bet, but extremely early, like no code's been written. The one before that was a first-time founder who was very skilled, had spent time at kind of 2 big companies at Facebook and Google, which I don't often invest in folks that come straight from big companies, but had a very unique point of view on a big market that is actually pretty crowded, but which is very unique, and kind of, if it really works, it could work really well. So I'd say it was more around a smart founder that had a very unique insight that I don't think others were thinking about in that way. That if it works, it could be great. But a founder that will need a lot more help than the first one I described, being in their first company, really first time at a startup, which is kind of rare for me. So different types of bets, but both very excited, very early. We'll see.
Absolutely. When you were starting out in VC, did you have anyone that you sought out to learn from?
Not nearly as much as I should have. Honestly, this is one of the biggest mistakes of my career, is I didn't leverage mentors as much as I should have. And because of that, I made a shit ton of mistakes that I could have avoided. I'm not sure why that is. I guess I've always been someone who didn't want to bother other people. Now that I'm more experienced and I've been doing this now for 11 years, I actually really enjoy when when young VCs are starting out, seek my help. And I wish I knew that back then, that actually, it's a two-way street. I feel like I learn a lot, especially because they often come with kind of unique point of views. I especially like it when they come from different backgrounds from myself, because I get to learn from them. There was one VC named Izar Armany at Charles River Ventures, who's on our board at Blingo, and I give him the most credit for kind of giving me advice over the years. He invested in our first fund, so he was really helpful. But honestly, I didn't leverage him and spend as much time with him as I should have, and he probably would have been, he's always been generous with his time. It was just that I didn't kind of try hard enough.
What do you read every day to keep on top of your industry?
Honestly, mostly Twitter. I used to read all of, like, TechCrunch and all that stuff, but these days I get most of my information on Twitter. I just follow people I think are kind of talking about interesting stuff. I'd say that's
Twitter.
What's that?
I get all my news on Twitter.
Yeah. If I want to kind of go deeper on a topic, I'll do some more kind of searches. I've been spending a lot of time on like Web3 stuff, so listening more like podcasts and a lot of stuff that Andreessen Horowitz puts out. But honestly, it's mainly Twitter, and I kind of spend my morning over breakfast, seeing what's going on, maybe chiming in.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions.
Great.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to just quickly introduce yourself, and I can clip that into the beginning of the video.
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Hadley Harris, co-founder of Eniac Ventures. We're a seed stage VC headquartered in New York City, but invest throughout the world.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Great meeting you. Let me know if I can help with the project.
Absolutely.
Are you okay with that first thing? Did you want me to do that again or no?
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay. All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. You too.